What's up with it? Today we got a 3.8 billion bounty blue Doflamingo versus a 2.5 billion bounty red-haired Shanks for another high-rated sim match. Looks like the Dofi won the rock, paper, scissors, elected to keep with a Sengoku, Law, Weevil, Mihawk after the Sengoku, and the Gravity Blade. Don't hate grabbing the Mihawk there, as there wasn't really anything good. It was just a bunch of 2Ks. And there's worlds where we could end up playing the Mihawk just because we don't have a bunch of 4s in our hand currently to play off the Teach. Typically, as the Doflamingo, you would prefer to see Perona rather than Teach to start the game, because here the Shanks is representing the Red Hawk, which could KO the Teach and counter out of this. Fortunately, they didn't have it, and they just give us a 2K. Swinging 9K at the Weevil, you just kind of got to let that go. I mean, you could maybe double 2K, but then you just wouldn't have any cards. Very nice pickup with the Boa for turn into an even nicer stack. I would like to see playing, since we're going to 7 next turn, I'd like to see a play of the Jinbei off the top. They're going to be forced to swing at our life. The Weevil can either draw for turn and then grab this Law, playing the Law, or we can maybe get something off this life to play next turn. We'll see. Here, the Law, definitely stacking the 2K counter Law here. They're at 6 cards, so by doing this, we get a swing 8, which means they can't just leader effect 2K. They have to either give us 2 cards or take the hit. Okay, so they gave us a 0-cost event, trashing a Gold D. Roger. Definitely a card that feels like it never comes up in this matchup. In my experience, it feels like the Gold D. Roger is just dead. The Marco here, very strong, KOing the Teach. I think we want to start with a 6 for sure. And then, yeah, we're just going to want to go 7 at life. We don't have to worry about any Red Hawk shenanigans. We're definitely playing the Weevil. And then here we could definitely go like Jinbei Mihawk is a line. Or we could go Jinbei Law and bounce our characters. Because on this 8 Dawn turn, they are going to want to play Rayleigh. And Rayleigh means they could have KO'd one of the resting things. KO one of the standing with the Rayleigh and then minus the other one. So that way they can really swing into it. And so like let's say they KO this Weevil, they minus the Boa by 2K. Now it's a 4. So they can swing 5, it demands a 2K. Then they can swing 6. It would just demand everything in our hand. Which honestly maybe is fine. Maybe it's okay for us to shell out all that counter. But alternatively, we can just give them a 1K and take the hit. And then they're for sure playing the Rayleigh when they have 8 Dawn left. And then now we just get to completely rebuild our board with the Jinbei Boa, right? So really didn't cost us anything. Boa just putting those to the bottom because there was no hit. I think here I would want a blind leader, yeah. Finding the Boa here is kind of a nasty pickup. Yeah, throwing those to the bottom. 2Ks are nice, but I don't think, I don't think we need to be drawing them necessarily. Because that would just mean that we have 3 turns of drawing nothing but counter. Electing to go 9 there instead of 6/6, probably because leader ability wasn't used yet. Here, I think this is pretty cheap. It just takes a 2K. We can counter out of this. Probably the same as this swinging into this and countering out of it. Either way, I think this turn we're always giving exactly 1 2k. Let's see. The boa was a nice pickup. That's why you put the cards on the bottom, right? You see all these counter and you're like, oh man, I want to draw a counter. But really what you want is you want to be finding your bombs in the Jinbeis and the boas. And those cards are just so good. Your win rate goes up so much when you see multiple copies of those cards, which the Doflamingo for sure is found. So here we're swinging 6s until the leader effect is used by the Shanks, which allows us to swing a 5, right? Because when he's this low on cards, there's no reason to be swinging big. We just need to ping him for 1 card until he uses that leader effect, and then we can start, it allows us to always guarantee a card with 6s. If you swing 5s and then he leader effects, you just gave him a free swing, right? So this is still anyone's game. I mean, it feels not bad for the Doflamingo for sure. For sure, this feels really good for the Doflamingo. Especially because I imagine we're getting this life. So it definitely feels like the Doflamingo is ahead here. They're not really at too much risk of dying as they have 2k, 2k, 1k, 1k. So you could grab a 2k here, or you could just grab the boa for next turn, saying, look, they can't kill me. The best, I have this, so even if they play dragon, right, they get to go 8, 9, 12, 9. You get to block the 12, and then you just have to counter out of a couple 9s. So you really don't need that much counter. And this boa just allows you to say, hey, if you want to try and take control of board, I'm just going to build it back. I'm just going to build the board back. Meanwhile, you're super low on cards and you're going to have to keep giving me cards because I'm going to keep swinging face. I'm going to ignore board. Super, super strong to go the gecko into the Jinbei into the boa, right? They just spent their whole turn trying to remove our board. And now it's completely back. Finding this boa is also really strong too because it means we can potentially ping them for a 5. It also prevents the Red Hawk from KOing this boa, which definitely would have been really scary had that come up. You could almost make an argument that if we didn't find this boa here, because they're representing the Red Hawk, you're not even supposed to leader effect. Because then you can it's really easy for you to get gamed without this blocker. Because Shanks isn't like Lucci, where, Lucci can remove a blocker, a 4-cost blocker for 4 Dawn. Tempest Kick plus Brook. The Shanks has to commit at least 5. And a lot of the times, they're not even going to have that Marco. So really, they're going to have to commit like a Rayleigh or a Dragon would be their best play going for game. So once they minus this boa, it means they're trying to Red Hawk it. So we got to attach just to avoid that Red Hawk. They KO one of our Jinbeis. That's fine. We'll see if the Shanks thinks they can go for game here. They probably don't, right? Because we only have to counter out of 1 swing. I don't hate swinging 8s at life first. See how this player reacts. Or even 9s. It really depends on what's in hand, but we could definitely, test them, see what they got going on. I think the scariest thing for the Doflamingo would be if they have a dragon, But I believe we have enough counter even if they do. Yeah. So there's the dragon. Shanks really finding what he needed, right? He found the Marco to KO the Teach, into the Rayleigh, into the Shanks, into the Rayleigh Redhawk, into the dragon. It's hard for me to imagine them finding much better. So now we're looking for, yeah, we just needed 2K counter total out of our life. And we found it. You know, one of them was another Gravity Blade, which obviously feels bad, but the other one was a 2K, so we get to live, thankfully. Pretty easy ask when we've seen so many of the bricks in the deck already, to find 2K total in the 2 life, but not guaranteed. So this was super winnable for Shanks. I think this was a great example of a game where Dofi won the rock, paper, scissors. They got to go first to be aggressive early. And the Shanks definitely saw everything, right? The only thing you can say they really missed out on was the Red Hawk on the 2-Dawn turn. That could have been really important to KO the Teach and stop that first leader effect. But other than that, right, they saw the Red Hawk Rayleigh to, you know, clear a lot of board. They saw the Rayleigh to clear some board. They saw the Shanks on 10. They saw the Dragon to try and go for game. They saw a bunch of 2Ks. I want to say they saw 6 or 7 2Ks, a 0-cost event, the Red Hawk. Like it really feels like this player saw everything. So it's just really an example of how overwhelming Doflamingo can be, right? It doesn't really matter what you're doing. If the Doflamingo gets to do what he wants to do, you're just going to blow up, right? If he sees the Jinbeis, the Boas, the Mihawks, all in pairs, all in multiple numbers, it's really, really hard to win games like that, regardless of what deck you play. But really, really, really great match. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great day.